Okay, so it's called Fortress Inquisitorius. For the last 20 minutes, all I have been hearing in my head is Notorious by B.I.G. Inquisitorious.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and this is going to be my spoiler review for episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know by now, if you've been watching this channel, who's in this series, what it's all about. This is the spoiler review. We're talking spoilers in episode 4, aka Ocean's 12, because it's another rescue mission. Come on, Leia. Come on, Leia. It's another. This episode focuses on Obi-Wan and Tala going on a rescue mission to save Leia from Reva and the Inquisitors at Fortress Inquisitorius. We get to see the actual home of the Inquisitors. We get some pretty surprising reveals in terms of what is housed in Fortress Inquisitorius. I'm going to be saying that a lot because that just rolls off the tongue. Fortress Inquisitorius. Before I jump into my spoiler review, just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. If this is your first time checking me out, hi, my name's Will, and I do and talk about geeky stuff on the internet on a weekly basis. It is an escape from the woes of reality, and I'm a huge geek. I do reviews, reactions, discussions, some gaming, some drinking, but usually all things wrapped around geekiness. So if that's your bag, why not consider subscribing to the channel? I am currently on the road to 500 subscribers this year. I'm almost at 450, so half of the year to get to 50. So here's hoping I can hit 500. But I can't get there without you wonderful people watching this at home or on your toilet or driving down the road. Try not to do this and drive, by the way. Just make sure you focus on the road. But if you would, consider subscribing if you enjoy this sort of content. And let's just talk about this newest episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, episode picks up with Obi-Wan in a baptha tank. Well, not completely in the baptha tank. He's being carted to a baptha tank after Darth Vader turned him into a shish kebab and basically roasted him on an open fire for a few minutes, which is not good. But they toss Obi-Wan in the baptha tank. We get this sort of dual scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin, both in baptha tanks, because Anakin, of course, got to put his crusty butt inside of a baptha tank. And I think I'm saying it right. You saw a lot of them during Book of Boba Fett. Let's just be real on that one. But they're basically doing this weird sort of mental force battle between each other, because we see the lightsabers clashing. They're both reacting to it. It's very psychosomatic seeing them interact with each other on this sort of mental plane of the Force. Once Obi-Wan awakens, he's obviously on a quest to find Leia. They do meet up with other resistance fighters, but they're not really resistance fighters at this point in the timeline. They're really just people trying to resist. They're not really fighters or soldiers at this point in time. That becomes more apparent towards the end of the episode. But we do get our first sort of guest appearance from O'Shea Jackson Jr., who, if you don't know, he is the son of Ice Cube, and he has been in a lot of really great roles over the course of the last couple of years. It's actually nice to see. I see another brother in the galaxy. They try to get people to help with their attempted suicide mission to go to Fortress Inquisitorius, which is the home of the Inquisitors, and it is on the watery moon that is one of the moons of Mustafar. So it's very close to where Lord Vader lives. So Tala and Obi-Wan head to Fortress Inquisitorius in order to try to sneak in and rescue Leia. There's a lot of tension in this scene with them trying to get in, as well as Obi-Wan's trying to restore his connection, his strength with the Force. We see him kind of practicing with a little thing he's trying to pull using the Force. And we see him kind of struggle using it a few times during the episode as well. Most notably when they're trying to stop the water from breaching into a hall space towards the end of the episode when they're trying to make an escape. So spoilers, they actually do get Leia back. But before they get Leia back, we get a very intense interrogation between Reva and trying to get information from the young Leia, who, I get it, we're trying to establish that this is a younger version of Leia. She don't need to be captured twice in a season. Or twice in the series. I get the poor girl. And Reva's, like I said, I've stated before, Reva is very hardcore. And we get a little bit more teases as to why she does not like Obi-Wan. What she feel about being abandoned, basically. She kind of lets it slip that she was abandoned during Order 66 and was ended up captured by the Inquisitors. This is just speculation, but based off of her taunting of Leia that no one is going to come rescue her, she's on her own, the only person who can save you is you, which sounds very much what she had to do in order to survive as well. But she's getting to that level of like, I don't think this character is going to be redeemable, which is not a terrible thing. I'm not opposed to her being redeemable. I'm always for a complicated villain potentially finding some sort of redemption if it's warranted. But the more she gets to torturing little girls and kids, I don't see her getting a redemption arc in this season. Maybe season 2, because they did announce that they are officially doing a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that might have changed potentially her fate in season 1. We'll just have to wait and see. But Leia being so young, but also being pretty strong-willed, she's able to resist a lot of even the mind manipulation that Reva tries to do with her using the Force, kind of like what Kylo Ren did with Rey and The Force Awakens. So it's actually very reminiscent of that scene as well. But even to the point where they strap her to a torture chair and they're going to put like needles in her eyes. I'm like, God damn, woman, calm down. As all this is going on, Obi-Wan's trying to make his way downtown? Through the facility with some help from Tala, who's trying to navigate her through the facility. Eventually he does find Leia, as Tala has created a diversion to basically get Reva away, long enough for Obi-Wan to rescue her and start making their way through the facility, trying to get back to the ship. But before that scene, we get a pretty disturbing scene, because they kind of hinted at it early in the episode with the sheer size of the Fortress Inquisitorius. God, say that 3 times fast. I can't. I'm not even going to try. They find out what they're actually housing in such a big facility, and it's actually a tomb, basically, with all the different Jedi and Force-sensitive people that they've captured or killed. It seems like they're captured and like frozen, not in carbonite, but in something like amber. So it's hard to tell if these people are alive or dead. I'm going to assume the latter of the two. It's very shocking because you don't just see former Jedi and Padawans, you see younglings, and like they showed a kid encased in amber, still with the little hat, poor little guy. It's hard to tell, because I like to go back to that opening scene in episode 1 with the younglings. Is this one of the kids who I'm assuming one of the kids was also Reva. Once Obi-Wan rescues Leia and they reunite with Tala, trying to make their escape, that's when the corridor starts trying to fill up with water. So Obi-Wan's deflecting lightsaber blasts, and he's struggling just to keep that water at bay. And I don't know if it's just another sign that he's rusty or not. But they eventually do make it outside, and before they're completely gunned down by the other stormtroopers and Reva, we get 2 snowspeeders flying in. It's the other people that they encountered at the Resistance base who have come to help and provide support, which is great. Unfortunately, one of them does get killed, so there is a cost to this rescue as well. It did end up turning into a suicide mission for some people. One part I didn't get was that O'Shea Jackson's character came around the corner smiling when they got back on the ship, while everyone else looks defeated and down because they lost one of the pilots. I think his name was Wade. I think it was Wade. It might not be Wade. Who knows? It's one of them. But he was like smiling. And I understand what they were doing with the scene, is that like, hey, you're back. Oh no. War sucks. That's what it came off as, but I'm like, you did see that only one of the 2 snowspeeders made it back, right? Like, you saw that part. Did you just not pay attention? Who else? Do you know who else came on that ship if you weren't watching? That scene just made me kind of like, okay, that's interesting. Before the episode actually ends, we do get our Vader cameo for the episode when he comes in hardcore ready to just rip Reva in half. That's not meant to be dirty, but he's got her up in the air, just choking her. Yeah. He's gonna off Reva, but she, of course, is always like 2 steps ahead of most people. She planted a tracker on Lola, which is the little droid that Leia has, so they're able to track where they're going, which is kind of bad considering the fact that they're heading back to the path and is gonna bring the entire force of the Inquisitor forces from Fortress Inquisitorius. Should have a counter, like how many times I said Fortress Inquisitorius like pop up. I should. But overall, that's the end of the episode. It's a pretty straightforward episode. It kind of looped back to where we were kind of with episode 2, where Obi-Wan had to go rescue Leia the first time. I just hope she doesn't get captured a third time. I'm like, I can't deal with her being captured a third time. That poor child. But it's a pretty solid episode. It's not necessarily my favorite. I want to say last week's is still probably my favorite of the episodes, but it's a good sort of palate cleanser. We also got to see Fortress Inquisitorius, which is pretty neat. I mean, for the name alone, it does leave me questioning the effectiveness of the Inquisitors, considering the fact that everyone was like, it's a suicide mission, you'll never get through, and 2 lonely people made it through with like no issue. It does question the effectiveness of the other Jedi that have been killed by the Inquisitors. If a lonely rebel fighter, an old man, and a 10-year-old were able to escape Fortress Inquisitorius. That's the last time I'm going to say it. But overall, it's a solid episode. Again, not my favorite, but it's actually an enjoyable episode. I do like how they're really hammering home the relationship that Leia has with Ben. And it fills in those gaps of why would Leia reach out to Obi-Wan when it comes to needing help or with the rebel plans. It's like, why would he reach out to her? Why would Ben risk going to help her at this point in time? It's a really nice way that they were able to not only just tell us, but show us this sort of bonding happening between these two legacy characters for the most part. I'm not sure what we can most likely expect next episode that the path is going to be assaulted by the Inquisitors and by Vader on the hopes of finding Obi-Wan. I'm still holding out hope for that Qui-Gon Jinn cameo, probably towards rather next week or the finale, but there's definitely going to be some sort of communing with the Force between the two. I don't know how I feel about Season 2. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where you're going to go with a Season 2. What kind of story are you going to be able to tell? Are we going to do this cat and mouse thing again? And also to think about it, I don't know the fate of Reva and what's going to happen to her with the Season 2 as well. Because the decision to do a Season 2 is a very recent decision, and these episodes were completed months ago. So I doubt they're going to go back and reshoot anything right now. So wherever the story leaves off, it has to be in a place that could merit doing a second season. Maybe a second season they'll focus more, maybe his relation, or trying to build a relationship with Luke, very similar to how he built one with Leia, but it's very unlikely considering how Luke and Obi-Wan really didn't have a lot of interactions prior to the events of A New Hope. I think there were some minimal interactions, but nothing major. We'll have to see how the finale wraps up with how I would anticipate or even think of what could possibly go down in Season 2. I still like Reva's character. They're definitely hammering home the fact that she is a broken individual with a single-minded goal. And I'm still waiting for that little bit of confirmation of a backstory as to what it was, if this was just brainwashing over years of training and misuse by the Empire. Like, what is her backstory? Maybe if she does survive, that will be something that can be explored in the Season 2. I'm really hoping that they can get Leia home. I know they will, but for God's sakes, like, get the poor girl home at this point. I like Tala. I think she's all right. I think she's a good secondary character. I hope she makes it. I really thought she wasn't going to make it in this episode, but we're still 2 episodes out from the finale, so it's very hard to determine that. And I'm hoping we get that sort of flashback Obi-Wan Anakin scene where we can see Hayden outside of the suit besides just a glimpse. I do like how they are mirroring a lot of what they're both experiencing with each other, that their connection is still very strong, even though they've been apart for so long. I do like how they're keeping them linked together and making that next encounter super important, like super emotionally charged, and hopefully it gives Obi-Wan a sense of closure, at least before the events of A New Hope. I hope it gives him some sense of closure and a little bit more of a reconnection with his lost religion, with his lost art of being a Jedi. So those are just my general thoughts of episode 4, and with a couple bits of spoiler mixed in. So let me know if I missed anything in the comments down below. We will be back with this next week for episode 5. I was able to be a part of Around the Geek for their episode 3 review. So that is also on YouTube as well. I'll put a link in the description below. But before all of that fun stuff, and before we see what happens next week, that is my spoiler review for episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching this and all of my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel and you made it all the way to the end, mazel tov, you get a gold star. And maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe like the video, share it around the internet. Really appreciate it. I've got a ton of videos on this channel right now. I've got episode 1 through 3 reviews for Obi-Wan Kenobi that are on the channel as well, so feel free to check those out. I will be doing a spoiler review for episode 1 of Miss Marvel. That should be after this video, most likely. And I've got some other videos coming up as well, so stay tuned for those. I'm going to hopefully try to get this out tomorrow. I have to work again. I'm back to work, but we'll see. Yeah, like I said, you can follow me on all different social media platforms listed at the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, until next time, may the Force be with you, and I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.